All right, guys, what's going on? Right now, we're going to talk about the SaaS apocalypse, the world of software, what I think is going on, what I'm doing, which direction I think the industry is heading. I think there's obviously in the last 6 to 9 months, there's been a tremendous amount of shift in the market dynamics. Since 2010, 2012, let's just say software has been really popular. The real trend, downward trend, which has made it really popular, I don't know if downward is the correct word, is the cost of production or service hosting. So, cloud computing is the number one factor for that. So, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, all of these major cloud providers have made it very affordable to get in a cheap, affordable piece of software that's subscription based now. So, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, software was sold via CDs, via hard, like an actual box. That's why SoftBank, the Masayoshi son, who the WeWork, AMD, Nvidia guy, he's basically he made SoftBank is actually short for Bank of Software, so Software Bank. So SoftBank made their money as a software distributor in Japan, and I think he's the guy who brought Microsoft from the U.S. to Japan, and then he invested in Yahoo Japan and then Alibaba. So software, when it was a CD, it was very profitable. It was a little harder to distribute because it was hard to acquire customers in the same way as before. But there was a tremendous pricing power in the licensing deals. When we went online, which Salesforce is the first company that really pushed this initiative. I think it was the No Software mascot or something to combat with Oracle and other databases that were kind of on-prem. And Mark Benioff went ahead and said, "No, we got to push everything online, and then charge an annual subscription fee," which was really astonishing because most people are paying, I don't know, let's say enterprises are custom pricing for CRMs, customer relationship management software, but the pricing, let's just say, is like $5,000 a year. I don't know. Let's just say by team to keep it simple. A Salesforce pricing might have been somewhere like between $1,000 per person, like per salesperson on a team, and then you have 20 people in that team, and they each need access to it, but it's staggered, like tiered pricing. So some people might be like contract based, some people might be like proposal based, invoicing, front facing, outbound sales, etc., etc. All of a sudden, your pricing is like $5,000 one time to $8,000 minimum annual contract, 3-year contract, and you're licensing. And now Salesforce has this operating model where they have flush with cash. It's cheaper because they have the economies of scale. They don't have to do on-prem, and now everybody wants to do software. When Viva Systems, which is the spin-off from, not a spin-off, but like one of the guys from Salesforce went ahead and launched Viva Systems with CRM for life sciences and healthcare and pharmaceuticals. He only raised $7 million, and the company's worth like $30 to $40 billion. It's one of the most successful software businesses ever to IPO. And it went public. It was successful. Very little amount of capital. Very specific vertical niche. Extreme pricing power. Tremendous margins. And compounding. Didn't need to raise any capital. So the customers basically financed the entire business. This is a super interesting model. It worked really well. It worked very well for businesses that were tiny. So let's just say sub 100 million in revenue. All of a sudden, you can figure out the economics of, okay, maybe I could charge $50 a month per seat, or per company, or per spend, and figure out how to change the pricing models based on usage. Very popular. One of the reasons why APIs became popular, because you wanted to figure out how to charge by data usage or licensing or some other factor that was more important for a business use case, depending on how much they spent or actually literally utilized the software. I think it was very effective for several years. I don't know at what period. Where it really got crazy was when interest rates went to zero, and all of a sudden venture capital went chasing all these software economic businesses, and it became very popular to have the Berkshire software and other things like that. And then you have the consumer versus enterprise, mobile apps, and all these variations that were getting really, really competitive. And when the sales and marketing costs went through the roof, is when software, the money, the margins, and the returns started working against the industry. So, Asana is a really popular example I like to use because it's actually a really good product. I've used it many times. I think it's fantastic. They do have a great pricing lock-in for their customers. So if you use it, you really don't want to leave. And they do have really good features. But they compete with products like Monday.com, I think Smartsheet. There are a couple popular ones that are public. And obviously Atlassian's Trello and other things like that. And you kind of think like all those companies are very profitable. I think Monday.com is very profitable. And Asana has been losing money since almost inception, I think since 2012, 2015, because they spent all their money either on sales and marketing or stock-based comp. And they have negative margins. They're not going to be profitable because they've basically diluted the stock to oblivion. It's a serious problem for investors. So even though project management or whatever you want to call a subcategory is a very competitive and commoditized space, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity as a niche provider. One of the biggest, probably like $3, $4, $5 billion business market cap is not profitable after 15 years. It's a serious problem. And I think the industry is shifting. I think now we have this weird shift where Salesforce is leading the effort in terms of headless CRM, meaning you can basically bring your interface, bring your data to an interface that's custom built for you depending on your demands and needs, whether you're a consumer or enterprise, personal or business, and basically hook into an LLM, an API, a data source, and then you kind of custom make your own solution. That is actually quite complicated to make because you actually have to educate the user on how that works. That's really difficult. I still think there's a level of sales and marketing that's needed. I don't know how much it is because the interesting thing about LLMs is that you can ask it how to do things, which we've never experienced before. And they're really good at solving like customer service issues, voice agents, anything that's like a help desk related. They're very good at that. They can do like almost 100% accuracy now. So this emulator version of the future for software is happening. I don't know who's going to do it first. I don't think Salesforce is going to do it. They might just do it by force because they have a distribution. I would like Google to do it because Google has had AppSheet, which is a no-code solution for many years, and they've built it into a lot of their database products from Firebase to Cloud Engine, and obviously Google Sheets. So I think they can do it. I don't know if they have the capacity to do custom. I think they can because of Chrome, but I don't know if they will do it. It's a different direction. It's true pure software versus like web-based search browser functions. They have the capacity. I don't know who can do it. Obviously, I mentioned before, like Rock has the capacity to do it, and they have it as their fifth pillar for their business model in the future. But I think that's the future of software, where you basically have this interface where you have custom design and it's based on your preferences and it's personalized based on, hey, I like to look at the weather for these reasons because I'm traveling for these 3 days. I'm going to dinner. I'm going to breakfast. I'm going to lunch. I got 4 phone calls. How do I prepare for these phone calls? And then all of a sudden you're like, I don't have to leave the window anymore. I don't have a reason to have 15 tabs open, or I need to like search for anything. I do everything through one interface, and the interface knows, because of LLMs are intelligent and have agentic features, it could go out to the market and say, Vijar's got to go to New York tomorrow, and on his way, optimal route is to take an Uber. It will cost X. It will cost $30. Optimal is for him to stop by this, blank street coffee to pick up coffee for him and the prospect, maybe for his team, and then go to the office, hang out for 15 minutes, do X, Y, and Z, meet with the client, meet with the team, do prospecting, do build product, and it will like automatically figure out my schedule, because based on either my preference, based on my demands, based on the needs of the business or personal needs, I think there'll be one interface. And I think people will route their information as an API does. So maybe APIs become more valuable as a business model. They're already very profitable, but I don't know how it gets. I think it's just too valuable that anybody's going to simply give it up. It's going to be a premium pricing. I can only see prices actually rising, which is the interesting part, because coming back to where I started, the SaaS apocalypse for the last 6 months, 8 months has been because these LLMs have basically eroded the pricing margins, the pricing powers of these software SaaS 2.0, whatever you want to call it, from the 2010s to 2020s. And they do not justify the premium valuations anymore, right? I think there's a lot of them are charging they're trading at like 2 to 3 times revenue, which is a historic low for these business models. And some of them are actually have like significant historic growth in revenue and maybe even profit margins. I think like Salesforce, HubSpot, all these major players are examples. Besides the major players, I don't know what's going to happen to them because the major players have these contracts, customers, and much more. But beyond that, you have to think about what is the actual product vertical? Who is it valuable to? Is it the only end user? Is it valuable to the investors, the employees? Where are they going to be working? How are they going to be working? I think it's a really hard question to answer right now because there's so many unknowns. And I think all the value right now in the next 2, maybe 3 years will be captured by these LLMs. They're just working too hard to solve these problems. Whether it's going to be profitable for them or not is another question, because a lot of them are losing a tremendous amount of money building these data centers and doing other things behind the scenes, as a research lab does. But it's true that this industry is moving in, it has a lot of headwinds now that it never had before. And I know cyclically it probably did, but going back to like the Microsoft era from the 1970s and the 80s and the 90s and Netscape, etc., and whoever else got crushed in the 2000s and .com era, I think there'll be some people that will get destroyed. Their business model gets absolutely massacred, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, I think the customer wins. So it'll be interesting to watch. I'm very bullish on it for a couple reasons that I'll save for another video, but I think it's very promising where the future of software is going, because this shift allows anybody to enter the arena at a very different cost model that was expected before. And the pricing model to charge revenue is also new. So everybody has to figure it out. And I think this has leveled the playing field for newbies, beginners, experts, advanced, intermediates. It doesn't matter who you are, you have a chance to capture new market share. So best of luck, and I hope to see what everyone does in this industry soon.